I think that without any exaggeration, had NATO not interfered in Libya, Benghazi would have been obliterated. And this is a fact. This is a historical fact. The footage of the kilometers-long army and mercenaries with equipment and so on who were coming to actually, and they were actually bragging about what they're going to do to Benghazi and what they're going to do to the women. And I mean, there's footage of what they were saying they will be doing. And had NATO not bombed them, they would have done exactly what they promised to do, because they did it in Misrata and they did it in other places. So I have no doubt that NATO interference or intervention in Libya, which was, by the way, asked for by Libyans, including myself, I must say. I was personally involved in the drafting of the documents requesting the no-fly zone and other things. I have, though I am a theologian, and though I preach compassion, and though I hate violence, I think it was a case of where, had that violence not been inflicted upon those troops, bigger violence would have been the result. So I think in Libya it was the right thing. Is it the right thing in Syria? I'm not a Syrian. I don't know the complexities of the Syrian situation from the inside. Quite frankly, I don't think NATO is really technically capable of interfering the same way they did in Libya, for a variety of reasons. The complexities of Syria, and also the economic condition, and even the dynamics of Europe has changed, and the dynamics of Europe, the UK and the US has changed. It's a completely different situation. Should there be some form of help to the Syrian people? I think absolutely yes. I think that the Arab League tried its best. Obviously, the regime has been cynical. Everybody should be trying to help the Syrian people, but I'm not so sure that it can be done the same way. The terrain is different, the demography is different, the majority-minority relations are different. We don't have that kind of split between Alawis and Sunnis, and it's a completely different. And the Ba'ath is very different from the Libyan regime in many ways. So I would hesitate to pronounce a final. But I can tell you that in the case of Libya, had not NATO helped us, I think we would have been destroyed. And I mean, it's very strange that a leader of a country would actually order mercenaries and his soldiers to systematically rape the women of an entire town, you know, that kind of. And when you're dealing with such a crazed person, I mean, the situation made it necessary. Now, as soon as we have liberation, my view of violence is completely different. Of course, I did carry a gun during the war. I will no longer carry a gun. I do not carry a gun anymore. And all my students gave up their guns immediately. And it's now, for me, haram to use violence anymore. But for that window, it was an absolute religious duty to fight. And this did not come easy. God knows how much I've thought of this, the pain, like as you're trying to sleep, like, and it wasn't like theoretical. My team helped NATO identify targets, so it wasn't like a theoretical thing. But I think for the first time in my life, I feel that I only then did I understand Bonhoeffer and his dilemma, you know. And understand that in some cases, like in the case of Hitler, Mussolini, Gaddafi, sometimes violence is the religious duty. But there was no point where this was done with gusto or with arrogance or with. I pray every night for the people who have died from both sides, and I am sure there are many innocent people that died in all this from both sides actually. So it's. May God forgive us all for our transgressions, but it's, you know, you can read theology and write theology, but when you're faced with these existential situations, it really matters. Theology matters in a very important manner. And I believe that the either or. What do you do in a situation like that is very important. Syrians are now facing this. It is up to Syrians what they decide to do. There should be no outside interference without a Syrian request for it. And I don't think it will be in any way similar to Libya. It's a completely different situation.